Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, hello. My name is Tici Kurniasi. I am the student of English Department Study Program at Kuningan University. And here, I will make a video presentation to fulfill my assignment, Word English's course. I will presentate about the article that I already read. The title is Developing Metacultural Competence in Teaching English as an International Language. This article written by Ji Chang Shu in 2017. And here is the table of contents for my presentation. The first one is introduction, research method, findings and discussion, conclusion and reference. Alright, here we look at the introduction. I have the criteria of this article, cultural linguistics and its application to the pedagogy of English as an international language through the development of metacultural competence. So that is the criteria of this article. Here we talk about the cultural linguistics and metacultural competence for English as an international language. Alright, so there are several points in this introduction. The first one is English has become a pluricentric language, namely from English to Englishes. So, as we already know that English has many variations. English in my country and English in your country, for example, or English in another country may have different styles, different accent. And that's how we called it, what we called it as Englishes. And then the second one, English as an international language and English as a lingua franca are commonly used to describe English as a global communication. So, in culture, we already know about the three circles. The first one is inner circle or English for native language for US or UK. And then the second one is outer circle or English for second language or the country that use English for their second language, for example, like in Singapore. And then the third one is English as a foreign language, for example, in Indonesia. But in this article, the author emphasized about the using of English as a global communication. They commonly used the title of English as an international language or EIL or English as a lingua franca or ELF. Alright, and the third point, it is important to develop cross-cultural understanding and intercultural communication skills among students, or we can call it as metacultural competence. So what is metacultural competence? So metacultural competence is the ability for people to understand, to comprehend about the different culture in different countries for specifically in English language. So it is important for us to know, to have the competence, to have the ability of that metacultural competence, so that if we visit to another country, we already know about their culture or how they can speak English in their real life communication. For example, like in Singlish, that is the word like can lah, like it is an accent of Singlish. Or in another country, for example, like in Indian, right? Are you coming? No, like that. That is the examples of phrases that commonly used in India that may be that perhaps it is different to the another country. To the Indonesian country, for example, it is different. So we have already learned about that. Alright, and then the users of English around the world have their own rights and roles to create the language. So, as I mentioned before, that English in various countries has various English too. So the users of English, not only for UK, not only for US, have their roles and their own rights to create the language, to how they can um, use the English language based on depends on their culture. And then the previous study, cultural linguistic, examining how language and culture influence each other. And then English as an international language, or EIL, highlighting the importance of EIL in facilitating global interaction. And metacultural competence, or that I mentioned before, the ability to understand and adapt to cultural differences in communication. Especially, we are talking about English language in this topic. And then, research question. How to develop metacultural competence among learners in teaching English as an international language? What are effective strategies for teaching English language variations and cultural differences to learners? And how can learners renegotiate their identities in intercultural communication using English? Alright, so here is the research method of this article. So uh, the author using qualitative research method and with the respondents from international students from various countries and cultures talking an EIL unit, and the data collation is our class survey, online discussions, and written assignments. And the goal of this method, of this research, is to develop metacultural competence through the use of cultural variation. And then here are the findings of this article. The first one is metacultural competence development. The second one, effective teaching strategies. The third one is negotiating identity. Alright. Metacultural competence development can be done by exploring cultural variations in English. It is to answer the research question. The first research question, how to develop metacultural competence among learners in teaching English as an international language. For example, students are asked to explain the differences in expressions such as I love you in their respective cultures, introducing how language reflects different cultural values. So, with metacultural competence, the students can know the differences of expression I love you in different countries. For example, which mentioned in this article, I love you in America is kind of different with the words I love you in Korea. Like in America, people commonly used this word for friends, for family, for close friends, like that. But in Korea, the words I love you is more deep to use, so it is not we can't use that word easily, because in Korea the words I love you is so uh like special, like that. And then Uh, the second finding, effective teaching strategies include using cultural discussions and case studies to highlight variations in English usage. So, the effective teaching strategy uh, for teaching English language variations and cultural differences to learners, we can use cultural discussion and case study. For example, students are asked to explore different metaphors for time in English and their native language, such as the differences between time is money and time is river. Like time is money refers in America, it refers to, or in English or in America, if I didn't mistaken, time is money is like the efficiency or the spreading, right? And but in China, time is a river is commonly used to describe a time is like uh, river like flows that we cannot stop the time. It is flow like a river, like that. And then students can negotiate their identities in intercultural communication by adapting to different cultural norms when using English. For example, in an assignment, students are asked to describe how they can change the way they communicate when speaking with people from different cultures, such as using formal or informal expressions depending on the audience. So, learners can renegotiate their identities in intercultural communication using English by adapt to different cultural norms when they using English language. For example, like we uh, have to recognize when we can talk in formal situation or informal situation based on the audience, based on their cultures. And then for the last is the conclusion. So basically this article suggests that teaching English as an international language or EIL can enhance students' metacultural competence by introducing cultural and linguistic variations. Students can understand cultural differences, adapt their communication. Alright, I'm sorry. Um, alright, adapt their communication styles and manage their identities in intercultural interactions. Effective teaching involves cultural discussions, case studies, and exploration of language differences to help students understand the role of culture in communication. And applications for further research for this article. So, for further research, could focus on implementing more specific teaching strategies to enhance intercultural competence in broader context, such as through the use of technology in EIL learning or by developing more structured methods to explore cultural identities in international classrooms. All right. So, thanks. And this is the reference of my presentation, the article that I use for my presentation. So that is about my presentation for today. Thank you so much for your nice attention, and I'm so sorry if I made a mistake for this presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.